let me put this at you. I think mental wellness is your ability to come back to a healthy baseline. So because everybody experiences bad things, right? Like it's unavoidable. If you're trying to avoid it, you're gonna avoid life, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's when you get into like hiding in your room because you don't want anything bad to happen, right?
Yeah.
So how quickly and in what healthy coping way do you go from bad to back to just normal?
Are you going through life blind? This is Eyes Wide Open with Nick Thompson. On this podcast, we share knowledge and stories that build human connection while elevating stigmatized societal issues such as mental health, holistic wellness, culture, free speech, and more. All to ensure we show up in the world with our eyes wide open. Welcome to Eyes Wide Open. Our guest today is Tyrone Powell, aka Tyrone the Philosopher on social media. He is a class-conscious therapist and philosophical guide focused on helping others explore self-understanding and what it means to live authentically, which we were just talking about before we hopped on here. He also specializes in plant-based medicine, anxiety, and men's health. And he's the podcast host of It's Okay, Man, where he explores the constructs of masculinity, the status quo, and basically anything, as you say, on there. Question everything, which is my approach to life because it's the only way you can get real answers. So thanks for coming on today. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm having a good day. Things are good. Thank you for having me. I was honored to receive the invitation for sure. So
yeah, absolutely. And I stumbled upon you over the algorithm. I actually looked I meant to ask you this before we started recording, but here we are. I wanted to ask you, do you remember which video it was? Because I went,
yeah.
Or which because I liked something and I went in. I remember you sent me a very nice video. That was really kind of you. But there was something I liked, and then I went and followed you, and I couldn't figure out what it was, and it wasn't in our DM.
I can't remember. I'd have to look at the timing. But
yeah, no big deal. But anyway, I saw a piece of your content. Now I've seen so much, but I don't remember which one it was. But I saw a piece of it, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And I came and I followed you, and so I'm glad that we were able to connect and do this because I think you are talking about some very real challenges in obviously mental health and with masculinity and all of these things that we're going to get into today. But before we do that, my favorite question I always ask my guests is, what did you want to be when you were a little kid, and how did that lead you to where you are now?
Oh man, when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a Ninja Turtle. If we're going that far back,
that's the best answer I've gotten.
I was a fan of all four of them for different reasons. I was definitely a Leonardo fan, just being the leader, I guess, which I guess kind of relates to the things I'm speaking about now. But then I've been down so many roads. I've been down, like I always say that, like I've lived so many lives because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I took a year off after high school. I went into trades. I hated it. I went back to university, got a Bachelor of Commerce, went into the corporate world. Felt like I was selling my soul to kind of like fit in with what I needed to do. And I was a top salesman. Like I was great, but I hated it. And then,
what were you selling? Like software?
I was an account executive for TELUS, one of the major telecom.
I know them.
Here, right? So yeah, business, all sorts of telecom stuff for businesses and whatever. And then I had my daughter and realized like I needed something stable and something I could just dive into. And I have always had psychology books on my shelf and philosophy books and that kind of thing. So dove into that, finished my master's just a 2 months ago. And
congratulations.
I'm a full-on counselor. So that's how I
got
here.
Good for you. You know, what's very interesting about your story there. So I came up with that question because on one of my first or second, I think it was my second episode I ever recorded, I used to do kind of like a quick hit questions. And this one ended up being a longer conversation, and she wanted to be a writer. And she ended up being told, you can't be a writer. You're not going to make any money. And so she got into something else and then ended up being a writer, kind of did full circle. And I think you might be the first one since, because the story you usually get is I wanted to be an astronaut, an actor, a Ninja Turtle, which I would have been Raphael, by the way, I think.
Fair.
Yeah. But then like usually it kind of puts people into capitalism. It's like this giant, the world is your oyster as a kid. And then you realize all the things that you love to do or you want to do don't make any money. So you end up doing, capitalism. You got to
Yeah.
participate.
Yeah.
And yours is interesting because you did that, but now your story is like, well, now I'm out of, well, you're still in it, but like now you're doing it on your terms more, which I think is a cool
Yeah.
story to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't. I found with my journeys, I found that I just can't play the game. I just can't do it, and it hurts me, and I physically can't, and it makes me miserable, and I'm like, I can't live like this, and I would rather, I would rather do whatever I love. So
yeah. How did you decide counseling? I mean, you said you had the psychology books, but how did you decide counseling was where you wanted to take your next career step?
I don't know. I know my dad mentioned, like, he's always asked me questions. He has been an educator, school educator, and a counselor. And we were talking one time, and he just mentioned it. And then he actually came to me and he said, "Hey, look at this program." And I looked at it, and then I actually took another one. But I was just like, this is something I can get behind. I've always loved human behavior. It's why I got into business. It's why I got into marketing and sales. I'm like, how do people work? How can I sell to them? Right. And then, so it was really just a big dive. I said, hey, I'm going to kind of let the universe decide. I didn't have the best undergrad grades, and I just applied. And I said, if I get in, I'm going to do it. And they accepted me.
Good for you.
So I was like, let's do it. Let's go.
How long did it take you to do?
The master's program took 28 months.
Okay.
So just over 2 years. It was all online. So
good for you. And here you are, 2 months graduated, and you're now a practicing counselor. So congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you. I'm excited about it. And I think the thing that was crazy to me was during the program was how much I learned about myself. Like how much I was like, I grew so much as a person, just like in terms of compassion and understanding, and like my views on the world and society and what's happening. And I was just like, oh, like this is, and at every step of the way, I was just diving more and more into it. And it just felt so good. So I'm so happy to be at this point.
That's what my therapist says. She says like counseling is much more about you and the reflection it teaches you to do. And then you go and kind of help other people do that same thing. And you learn more about yourself than like any specific thing in counseling. And she's like, you pick up the counseling stuff like when you're actually doing it, not from a textbook.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't, and that's why I kind of advertise myself as like a guide for self-exploration, right? Like I don't want you to come in and tell me your problems and me tell you exactly what's wrong. I want to show you, I want to hear what you're saying, show you what I see from an objective standpoint and show you the doors, and you as a self-healing and confident person can walk through the one that you want to when you're ready. Right.
Yeah.
And it seems to be a little bit different than what's kind of the norm in counseling, but it seems to be very effective with the people I see. So
I think I have a lot of friends who are therapists, and they all have different perspectives. And I hear all of them and I'm like, that makes sense to me. And then there's some of them like, that makes sense to me knowing you, like, I think like there's this whole thing in our culture where, and we're going to get right into the diagnosis and fixing, right? Because that was one of the things that I've heard you talk about before. I think that we live in a culture where everybody kind of wants that diagnosis because it's like a pressure release valve almost. And then they want to like fix it, or they want to know the why. And I think the why is interesting, like for sure. Like I've learned a lot about myself through my therapeutic journey, asking the why and trying to figure out the why. And it almost like for me personally, it gives me like a little bit of peace that it's okay. And so why do you think, or in your, experience and even in working with people, like the diagnosis or the fixing is what people think therapy is, when in reality, I think most would say that it is about the work you do. And this person is kind of your therapist should be a guide, but it is about you doing the work.
Yeah, I think. So like, why do people like that? One, it's easy, right? It's the easy. If I can go in and talk to somebody and they can tell me what's wrong, then I can fix it. I can take the pill. I can journal. I can do the thing. And if I have the label, then I know then I fit into a group. I understand myself more if I have a label for it, right? But I find labels like, and this is tough because labels are good for certain reasons. They're good to communicate. They're good for generalization. They're good for identity. They're good for a lot of things, but they're also very harmful for those exact same reasons.
They don't capture nuance.
Exactly, right. And we honestly, like psychology, Western psychology, it's like 150 years old as a science. Like that's the youngest science. It's like we don't know anything about it. So that like that's why when you're like, oh, my friends have different perspectives, it's like, yeah, somebody's only practicing something that's been worked on for 100 years, right? Like that's not a long time. And especially with how we test things, the scientific method doesn't work specifically for certain things. It's like we just don't know enough to be so confident in my mind that it's to slap a label on something that is so definitive and so potentially harmful to so many people, right? It removes the human aspect and the human uniqueness of us as individuals in my mind. So I try and stay away from labels. I more describe symptoms, and we address symptoms, and we see where the cause is, what happens, how you're interacting with your environment. And then if you fit into that, then yeah, sure. If you want to put a label on it, like, yeah, you can do that. But unless like I'm trying to deal with an insurance company or
I'm going to bring this up.
refer to a different doctor or whatever, then why use the label, right? So.
Yeah. I think that's part of a challenge that, especially if you're like self-employed and you're trying to accept insurance, and it's very confusing and complex on purpose, in my opinion, but we don't have to get into that. But you literally have to give a diagnosis for the insurance to, cover the service fee. And so then you're sort of pigeonholed. And so anyway, so if you're trying to work with insurance, like, do you have to diagnose people from that perspective, and then do you share that with them, or how do you communicate
Canada's
that?
a little different. So I'm in Canada, obviously. I'm a counselor in Canada. Well, waiting on my full certification still. So I'm a therapist until I can use that title in a week. But we don't. You can bill to insurance without a diagnosis. You can just go see a mental health professional without a diagnosis here, and you will get reimbursed. It fits into certain benefit and insurance plans. But that's obviously different in the States, right? And so it is, yeah, it's a bit easier here, which is very good. But if I were to work with it, you just work within the parameters, right? It's like, okay, well, if you need a diagnosis, you have certain symptoms, we'll put a diagnosis on you. But like the tough thing is like schizophrenia, for example, it's like there are so many different criteria, and I think you need like 4 or 5 within the DSM-5, like 5 out of I think it's 11 different criteria. If 5 of those apply to one person, then you can diagnose them with schizophrenia. And my numbers might be a little off, but it's so there are so many that 2 different people with schizophrenia can have completely different symptoms and both have schizophrenia. And it's like, okay, well, how does this work then? Like, what are we doing?
What if it's 4? You got 4.
Exactly. Nuance, like you said.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. I think too, now, I do think a diagnosis can be helpful sometimes, especially in cases of maybe severe mental illness. But really, to me, what it should do, whether it's mental illness or physical illness, is sort of set the path for treatment, maybe. And I think you look at some of the mental illness diagnoses, and there are specific types of therapy that are empirically proven to work with specific types of things. I think in those use cases it can be helpful, but I look at getting like a general anxiety disorder diagnosis. Like, who the hell is that helping? Like, it's like, yeah, I think we all have that. Everyone has a little bit of general anxiety every now and then.
Yeah. It all comes down to the way I see it, and I when I speak. I go talk to other clinics and that kind of thing to promote myself and that kind of thing. And what I do is one of the questions I ask, and I'll ask you, I'm like, So what is your definition of mental wellness? I'll
You're
ask you.
actually asking me.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'll ask you.
Well, there's an ask me anything at the end. You could have saved
Oh,
it, but no.
sorry.
That's a good question. I think everyone's baseline is probably a little bit different. My baseline moves a lot because I deal with I get depressed and have some issues with that every now and then that pop up, and I think for me, like, the baseline is, have I gotten through a day, and then it's 2 days, and then it's without having like a depressive episode. I like where I can't get out of bed, or like I'm not doing something because I'm depressed. So
Mhm.
like, if I'm like, one of my things now that I've been really trying to do is after work, because I have a pretty demanding marketing job, like after work, I'm trying to not just like collapse on the couch for the rest of the day. Like, I don't
Right.
need to lose my evenings for 5 days out of the week just by like couch rotting, right?
Right.
So like, to me now, it's like, okay, yesterday my girlfriend and I went and we watched the Cubs, who were in the playoffs. So we went out just to a bar for a couple hours to watch that game. So like, to me, like, yesterday was a good day because I did that. So
Mhm.
it changes, but I think
Yep.
like the overall wellness is like, am I functioning in a way where my mental health isn't stopping me from doing things? Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Absolutely. And so
Okay.
let me put this at you. I think mental wellness is your ability to come back to a healthy baseline. So because everybody experiences bad things, right? We like, it's unavoidable. If you're trying to avoid it, you're gonna avoid life, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
when you get into like hiding in your room because you don't want anything bad to happen, right?
Yeah.
So how quickly and how in what healthy coping way do you go from bad to back to just normal? And well, normal, I don't like normal, but it just
Baseline.
standard, like,
Yeah.
right, you're back to your baseline. So that, because that is like, that's meditation, that's working out, that's your daily, your community, your friends, your eating habits, that's your sleeping patterns, that's everything working together in a healthy way, in a healthy coping back. Even if you want to, like, when I get sad, I withdraw. I sit
Me
and I play
too.
video games for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Don't talk to anybody, and that is my coping mechanism, and that's completely fine, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. So that's kind of my definition: is how quickly you can return to it, and in are you doing it in a healthy way? Um,
That's really
when
good, actually. And then if you know, like, do you ever notice though, like, oh, this 1.5 hour of playing video games is now 2 hours, and the next day it's 3 hours, and then because then you're like spiraling, right? And that's what I used to do. I used to
yeah,
spiral where it'd be like, I've had a rough day. I'm gonna go home. I would watch Friends, the show,
yeah,
just like episode after episode after episode, and then sometimes it'd be like, well, no, I'm calling in sick to work the next day
hmm
because and that's the spiral of like, you gotta. For me, I
well,
have to
and
stop
that's,
doing.
and so then you're getting into self-awareness and recognition of my coping because any coping mechanism can be harmful if it is overused and becomes an obsession, right?
Mm.
And that's when we get into mental illness, and it's a part of mental illness, like, and this is, I guess, how I define it, is whatever you're doing maladaptive to your life? Is it harming your relationships? Is it harming your ability to work? Is it harming your like anything, right? Like, and that's why when we, like you brought up, is any coping mechanism that starts out as healthy can be harmful, right?
Mm.
And you get into addiction and substances and all of that. It's like everything can be bad when it is too much, right?
Yeah. That's a great point too. I got to ask you, because I'm the same way where I withdraw. Like, I don't, and it's more so because I don't want to put the face on that everything's
Yeah,
fine when it's
sure.
not fine. I don't want to pretend. And I've had people, when I have tried to pretend, be like, something's wrong. I see it in your eyes. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, my soul is dead at the moment. So that's what you're seeing, the empty vessel that has presented
Yeah.
itself to you.
Yeah.
But like, you mentioned, like, do these habits hurt your relationships? Do these habits impact your health, your life, long term, stuff like that? So did that ever happen to you when you would withdraw? Because I know for me it has damaged relationships, and I'm very conscious of of that, and it obviously took time. But did you ever have any damaged relationships with, obviously like partners or friends or family?
Um, I don't think I've ever withdrawn that much. I've had my own. I got it tattooed on my arm, a representation of my shadow and my habits, and like I was deep into a party scene, and I was a DJ, and I was like substance, like I was, yeah. But I made it back, and I'm good. And so I think instead of, how do I say this? So the important thing I think that we can do to not withdraw is stop wearing the mask. Sometimes, and this has helped me so much, and I've learned this just over the past few years. Like somebody will ask me if I'm going through a tough week and it's been really hard, even like raising 2 kids and doing my master's and working, and like I was at my wit's end. But people would ask me like, "How you doing?" And I'm like, "Things are really hard right now." Like I'm getting emotional talking about this. Like it's
okay.
I like straight up. It's like, this is really tough. Like I'm grinding. I'm exhausted, but I know the light is at the end, and I'm working towards it. I'm going, and I have to do it to get where I want to go, and I'm going to do it. And opening up like that, and not just saying like, "Oh, I'm fine, it's good," but like with anybody that asks, and it'll catch people off guard. But like, who cares? You want to know? I'm being authentic. I'm being genuine, and if I put on this mask in front of you, it is going to hurt me more than it hurts you. So
that's a great point. And also, if that is uncomfortable for someone, then maybe you need to shed that person or have more of an acquaintance style relationship.
Then they won't talk to you about it again. I'm like, okay, but it's not like
they won't ask anymore.
All right, it's like, next time, how you doing? Oh, I'm good. Things are good. I made it out of that time. It's fine. That's part of my history. It's part of my story now.
Yeah.
I made it out. I got the scars to prove it, and now I'm doing great. Let's go.
Which is great to hear. And I appreciate the grind. I mean, I can't even, some of the stuff I grind through right now, I don't even have kids. Like I actually tell my girlfriend this. I'm like, I honestly, God, I can't imagine having kids. Like, I don't know how, like, I don't know how it would fit into life. So the fact that you were able to do that, I think is obviously something you should be proud of, but also people should, give you some grace when you want to talk about that grind of working, school, kids, family, yourself, all those things. Oof. Yeah. Brutal. I wanted to ask you, since you brought it up, your shadow, is that based on Carl Jung, the shadow?
I use that because that's what it's a very good representation of it. It's part of me that I thought that I dove into for, I don't know, let's call it childhood traumas, like just a rough experience when I was growing up in certain aspects of which in general, I had a really good growing up, but there were certain aspects that really harmed me. And I dove into a lot. I went down some dark paths to cover it up and get the dopamine that I thought was healthy for me. And then it took me a long time, it took me years and years to realize and say like, oh, this is not good. So, but then I also know that it's a part of me, and I put it on a tattoo and slapped it on my arm, and now I remember it and I respect it, and it is there. And honestly, people love that side of me. I'm a great person to have at parties, but it's not always serving you. It's not what I want to be in the future. We'll see.
Yeah, I hear that. I actually have a tattoo on my chest that says "You belong here." And it was from my darkest times, and I had so I got a couple of years ago. I also have another one, but I need to get it redone. But it says "Eyes Wide Open," name of the show, which was very much like, well, going through life blind on Love Is Blind didn't do much for me, so now it's time to go through life with your eyes wide open. So, yeah. But it's always kind of like you said, every morning I see this one here on my chest that says "You belong here," and it's just kind of like this reminder of like, that some tough moments that I've had over a few years ago, and then kind of just remind me like you're actually exactly where you're supposed to be at all times. Like you're really exactly where you're supposed to be at all times, because if you're not, then you're not in reality, and I don't think that's a healthy place to be. So. That's kind
Yeah.
of, no matter my mental state, I like that little reminder when I see it in the morning in the mirror.
Yeah. I think, yeah, it's the way you said that. It's like you're supposed to be, and I don't know how deep you. I think to me, what comes to mind there is the people that are like really suffering, right? And it's like, are they supposed to be there? It's like, okay, well, life, and the world, and history, and everything has put them there, and that sucks. But they exist, and they are there, and they are valid and are important in existence. And I think that's
And
an important
that's
differentiation.
exactly what that's exactly what I mean. I mean, like, you shouldn't, and again, like, there's people who are in such bad situations, very sick, very, just did not draw any good cards on life and all that stuff. And it doesn't mean I don't have empathy for them.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean, but like, I think to the moments where I was at my darkest and it was like, I didn't feel like I belonged here. And I didn't think that it was right for me to be here. And I don't think that that's a healthy place to be, no matter how bad things are. Cause that's a, not thinking you belong is one of the worst feelings I think a person can have. And that's with anything, in my view. But you can rip apart anything I say, by the way. We don't have to. Like, if you're like, dude,
My
shut
favorite.
up.
Sorry, I'm doing my job here. Sorry, I shouldn't be working. Approachable.
Yeah. I think, were you going to say something?
No, go ahead.
I want to dive into, because this is so interesting to me, the class conscious counseling, which you have on some of your profile on your website. What is that to you, and why does that matter? Because I think that is we could probably, like we said earlier, do an hour on this, because I have a lot of thoughts and questions that I want to ask you. But what is that to you, and why does it matter?
Where do I start? So I think based on what I learned in school, we had one course. It was involved in every course just a little bit, but we talked about socially responsive and culturally responsive and socially just counseling. Okay, and this is a lens in which you would view a client and what they present you with, and make sure that you're integrating environmental, cultural, socioeconomic, all factors. Okay. And that really, really struck me because, well, then when I started seeing clients, I saw how much mental pain and mental stigma or illness stigma and all of it was caused just by societal factors. And then when we get into that, you brought up capitalism earlier. It's like when you dig into where these problems are and what is happening and how the value of our labor is just stripped from us, and we talk about wage slaves, and we talk about all of these things where we are literally working to live, to ensure that we have a place to eat and a roof over our head, and that's
Basic human needs. Yeah.
right. And so it's like, okay, if somebody comes to me I'm in Edmonton, Alberta, and they are struggling to pay their bills, but they're working 40 hours a week, and it is driving them to the point of that they're having panic attacks. How am I supposed to say, okay, well, go home and meditate and you'll be okay? Right? Like that's how, like, that's slapping a Band-Aid on a
not even a Band-Aid
on a stomach. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't do anything for them. So it is, in my opinion, and I get a lot of flack for this. I got it from my professor, my supervisor, my dad, like so many people. And it's like, how you can't talk so much about these things. And I'm like, well, I'm not helping them then. I'm literally not doing anything. So I have to, when I have a client that comes in, I have to look at everything that is involved in their life, in my opinion. And this is my method of therapy is Gestalt therapy. That's what I use, which sees us as individuals as inseparable from our environments. Like we are fully influenced by it, and we fully influence it. So it is a part of us. And therefore, our environments are shaping our mental health. And without addressing these things, I cannot be genuine in saying that I am helping my clients to the best of my ability, which is part of my ethical code. So, yeah, and I
I
can't help
feel
them
like
in the
people are telling you not to talk about this. This is the problem. This is such a problem when people are telling people what they can and can't talk about. Like, shut the fuck up. I can talk about whatever I want. You're supposed to be, this is the thing. Like, you're supposed to be challenging the status quo. Everyone should always be challenging the status quo. You shouldn't believe anything anyone ever tells you at face value. And if you're looking at your clients, and sorry, this like triggered me, pissed off about this. Like, if you're trying to better help and serve your clients, same with doctors. If a doctor is trying to better help and serve their patients, why are you not able to, with informed consent, have these conversations in academia too, where they're supposed to be learning and evolving all the time and getting smarter?
Mhm.
Like, it's
Mhm.
it's just such a contradiction. And if you're,
Mhm.
like you said, your point of, if someone's having a panic attack because they can't feed their kids, like, they're not meditating. Sorry, they're probably not
No,
journaling either.
no.
Like, it just makes no sense. And then to just like not acknowledge it. And it makes me think like the whole constructs of like education around counseling and therapy, it's it's almost like a mockery of it, of what the core of what you're supposed to do is help people better cope and become better versions of themselves.
Yeah, I think and we can bring it back to labels. Like, if I was a social worker, I would be permitted, or it would be more acceptable for me to do so. But under the label of counselor or even psychologist, even psychiatrist, any of the mental health professions, we look at in our ethical code, it's don't do anything that can harm a client, essentially,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so if I'm out there talking about controversial issues, which I don't think basic human needs are controversial, um, if I'm out there talking about it and somebody has an opposing view, I could potentially trigger or offend them, and that's not what I'm supposed to do. So therefore, I should be placed in this kind of this box that says, okay, well, you're going to stay in these safe boundaries and do the job to the best of your ability. And I don't agree with it, so I'm not
Yeah.
doing it. And yeah, I got some
All right.
I get pushback all the time, but whatever. I'm fighting the good cause here. We can do it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think if you're doing what you think is the right thing, that's what's important. And also, like, it always starts somewhere,
Yeah.
right? Like, I always think back, I actually tell this to myself sometimes too, but like, it starts somewhere. It doesn't mean it has to finish with you, but like, if no one stands up and says, I'm going to say something, then no one's ever going to say anything. And then we don't move forward, we don't evolve, we don't grow. And that's my whole life philosophy, is like, somebody should say something. I don't want to do it. Most of the time, I don't want to do it. But if no one else is going to do it, I'll do it, you
I
know? And so
respect
good for you on
I
that,
respect it a lot.
because yeah, these things matter. And I grew up working class. Like, my parents, my dad worked at a refrigerator manufacturing company, got shut down, lost his job. We lost our house. My parents got divorced. My mom worked at a grocery store, until she retired, on disability, by the way, from all of
Mm,
the wear and tear of working in that position. And we moved around a lot, got evicted, I'm sure, a few times, all of that stuff, and had programs and stuff like that we had to take advantage of. And so, like, I look at that sometimes, and I think about like the family dynamics and none of these basic textbook things would have helped my mom and dad be able to pay rent. You know what I
yeah.
mean? It's like, but it all comes together. It does, especially when you're talking about the economic angst that so many people I know in the US, and I know a couple people in Canada, it ain't much easier there. And
Yeah.
so if you're not taking those things into consideration and advocating, then it's like, I feel like you're almost not even doing your job.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I keep saying, is that it's all the same. Like we talked about the labels. It's like philosophy, it is psychology. Psychology, it's where it started. Psychology is anthropology. Anthropology is Economics is culture. Like it's all so integrated, and we're trying to
And
solve
everything is politics too.
no, yeah, oh yeah, well, yeah. Everything
Yeah.
is, well, if anything can be used as a way to gain political power, then it is political too. So
Well, and you look at it, and it's kind of like the insurance conversation we dabbled with earlier. It's like, I had a stint where I didn't have a job after the show, and I went through my savings, and I cashed out my 401k, and I was going into credit card debt because I was just keeping any cash that I had to pay my mortgage, so I didn't like lose my house. And it got so close to that point where I like didn't have the money to pay my mortgage anymore. And then, I ended up finding a job, thank God. But like, I keep thinking, when I think back to that, and that was the dark, and it wasn't just that, it was like a public divorce, all the bullshit that comes with people, bothering you and talking about you, and they don't know anything about your life, but they think they do because they saw you on TV. And so, I go back to that, and like, that was the darkest year of my life.
yeah.
And I had I had been seeing a same therapist for several years at that time, but like, she was generous enough to work with me on, I don't remember if it was like, we called it a sliding scale, but it was basically like, I don't want to leave you alone in this time when you don't have insurance and all of that stuff. And so like, I ended up, paying it back on after the fact. But like, I think about that at that time, and like, even having someone that would do that meant so much, but also like being able to have someone who's kind of gone through all of this with me was so helpful. But like, that was the tie-in of all of it to me. It was like, the economy sucks. I can't get a job. People didn't want to hire me because I was on TV. And then on top of that, like, prices were going up for everything. And it's just like, prices are going up while I have no steady income. All of these things, they all tie together. Everything ties together. Everything's political. Everything is. And the reason that prices were going up was because no one was doing anything about inflation. The reason that I couldn't have a job is because interest rates were so high that nobody was borrowing money and investing and at the same levels. Like, it all ties together. And now, like, even with the reality TV stuff, like, there's a lot of labor problems there. So we're going to turn reality TV into politics while we're at it. And it's all about, the intertwining of all of these things. And if you're talking about like healthcare in general, let alone mental health care, like, there needs to be a reckoning of, traditional mindfulness or cognitive behavioral therapy techniques and reframing. There's no way to reframe someone who's, getting evicted out of their home. Like, that is what it is. So like, you got to figure out new ways to help those people so that they don't spiral into a much worse economic situation and mental situation that they're in.
Yep. Addiction, suicide.
Yeah.
That's where it goes at the end, right? So
yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly. So what are some of the approaches that you do to apply to people that you are working with or talking with? And I know you're still a little new, but like, what are some of the approaches to have sort of that consciousness and integrate it into your work? Like, given this scenario, you've got someone who's struggling, living paycheck to paycheck, doesn't know where their next meal is coming from. Like, do you have any strategies?
Well, so first, I guess one of the key factors, and a lot of therapists do this already, or counselors or whoever, it's ensuring that we look at every piece of their life, right? Like, ensuring that we're literally talking about finances, friends, family, like history, addiction, housing, like literally everything, right? So we get a good picture, and it's not like it's a big interrogation for the first couple sessions or anything like that. It's literally just as it comes up and what's on their mind, and it's very client led, the way I do things. But when it comes to, I guess, treatment, it's bringing in solutions that are based on the problem, right? It's like, if you're stressed, if you're so stressed that you're having panic attacks, like, the panic attack isn't the problem. The panic attack may be the problem for if you're trying to cook dinner. It's like, well, I can't cook dinner because I'm having a panic attack. It's like, okay, well, we need to stop the panic attacks. But then the panic attack becomes the symptom. And it's like, okay, well, what's the cause of the
Root
panic
cause.
attack?
Yep.
Right? It's like, okay, well, I am so stressed about money that I am not buying enough groceries to feed my family. Like, okay, well, let's put together a budget. Like, let's take a look at your finances and write out a budget. And like, I have a commerce background, so I'm fully capable of doing that. Right. It's like, this may not, I'll preface it. This isn't financial advice, right? But this could work for you. You may want to speak to somebody this is their full job. Yeah. But if you can't afford to do that, like, at least we have the numbers here. Right. And I'm not going to tell you that this is going to work, but at least you have a picture and you can see where to move things. And I've done this with clients before. And they come back a couple weeks later. It's like, I've never done a budget before. And that was so helpful. And it alleviated so much stress. And now I have some ideas on where I can go with it. Right. And so like really breaking down, or like, hey, this job is driving you crazy and you're doing it because it makes you a lot of money, but you really hate your life. What are we going to do? Well, I need the money. People know that I have the boat and I've got the car and blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, well, now we're talking about identity. Who are you? What is that? Who you are? You're the guy with the money. Is that who you really want to be? Because it's kind of making you hate your life. So then how do we change that? What are your options? Right. So it's really integrating the idea of the economic system and how much our culture plays into what we think we're supposed to do and how it affects our life. And then saying, okay, well, how can we change that in a way that we're still able to be happy and live a good life? Right.
I love that. And the budget thing is crazy because I actually started budgeting about 10 years ago and it changed my life. I mean, it really changed my life. And now I help other people do it too. And get people, I try to just tell people, I'm like, hey, like, here's what rich people do. Rich people borrow money cheap. You need to borrow money cheap so that you can get yourself out of borrowing money that's expensive, like stuff like that. Like, use your balance transfers, use your, use loan consolidation. So you're making one payment. Once you pay something off, take that amount that you're already used to spending and start applying it to your next debt that you have to pay. Like simple things like this. And they don't teach us this stuff. They don't teach us this stuff in school or in life. And so there are little things like that. But I think you're so spot on. It's almost like you want to, and I think too, and I feel like I saw this growing up and I feel this way too sometimes, but like you get so overwhelmed when you're under economic stress that you can't see your head from your what because you're just drowning. And so even having the ability to work with people and sort of have those kinds of conversations, like there just may not be cognitive bandwidth for them to even do it on their own or in the space with somebody else. So that's actually I appreciate that strategy. I think that's really smart. It's really it's probably helpful for a lot of people too.
And I think I thought of this the other day, I forget who I was talking to, but the reason that I think as a generation, I'm millennial, I'm 37.
Me too.
And our parents and their parents, it wasn't as important. And like, of course it was important, but like when you can have one person in the household working and affording the house, 2 cars, the family, and the vacations, it becomes less important. When we have to budget just to make sure we don't end up on the street, it's like, oh shit, we got to learn this, and we got to and like my kids, like we're gonna start giving her dollars and showing her how to, like, in like when she's 5, I think we said like $5 a month or something, and like split it up. One is spending, one is investments, and one is saving every single month, and that goes up every single year. And it's like, well, like that's the type of integration that, because economics and money are so influential in our daily lives just to survive, that we need those skills to be integrated into just the way we think, right?
Yeah, I could not agree more with you. And it is kind of crazy. You're right about the millennials. Like our whole life experience is so different than what it was sold to us to be and what our parents and grandparents had lived through. And I look at it and it's like, even just now, like I went 2 weeks ago, I think it was, with my girlfriend, and we looked at a house down the street that I've just been marinating over wanting. And and we
Mhm.
went there, and it's like, I'm in Chicago. Okay. So this is a nice house. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-story, insane amount of it's actually, like, for the area, it's priced right where it should be. But I'm sitting there, I'm like, this is not even like, it's a townhouse.
Mhm.
It's not even its own standalone house. And we can't afford this. And I'm 40 and she's in her mid 30s. And I'm like, imagine if we can't afford this as two single people that are successful in our
Jesus.
careers and
Jesus.
we can't afford a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. Imagine if we had a kid, 2
Dude,
kids.
that's crazy.
And it's just, and I have a I make decent money, but, like, at the same time, it certainly doesn't go as far as it used to. And
No.
so I look at, like, I'm in my house now, and to my, this is a little bit different, but, like, I refied during COVID and got a bottom of the barrel number of
Mhm.
mortgage rate is what I'm looking for. And now if I want to move, I'd have to actually move into a smaller, less nice place to just keep the same mortgage. And so it's like, I bought this place 6 years ago. This is the state that so many people are in. And this is like middle class, right? And the promise of go to school, you'll get a good time job, you'll buy your house, you'll have your family, you'll have money. This is the path to do it. And it's not doing what it was supposed to do. And
Mhm.
at the same time, we're, both heads of household are working full-time jobs in a lot of cases, probably the majority of cases. Everybody now, if you're in, a corporate setting, or even if you're in, a trade or something, you're working more overtime, right? You're
Yep.
always connected. If you're in corporate America, always connected all the time. And so it never stops. So, like, we're working harder, we're making less, we have less, and the middle class is essentially gone. It's like, where does the pressure valve get released? And they wonder why millennials are all and Gen Z's a wadded up ball of
Or in the street.
anxiety.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
like
yeah. Yeah.
I don't even. There's no question there. If you have anything to say, it just, like, drives me nuts to look at this
Yeah,
stuff and think about this
it's
stuff.
I saw a graphic the other day. It's like Google search trends for, like, I can't pay my mortgage or something like that.
Yeah,
And
I
it
saw that.
yeah, it's scary high right now coming out of the
Yeah.
States. And, like, it's that same reason. I just renewed my mortgage, actually too, and it went up a little bit, which we bought 6 years ago, right before
Yeah,
COVID, renewed
me
during
too.
COVID, and then so we had a super low interest rate. I bumped up a little bit, but yeah, a lot of people, or like November 1st is coming up when people start getting their insurance premiums in the States, like,
Yeah.
with all the Medicaid drops, and they're talking about, like, doubling and quadrupling healthcare premiums,
Mhm.
like, and people are going to be like, holy shit, right?
Mine went up a lot last year. Yeah, the whole healthcare system here, we are so cooked. It's not even funny. I mean, it is like, I honest to God, and we know we can get back to, like, some of the stuff we want. I honest to God, sometimes I sit here and, like I said, I'm very politically active. I'm an
Mm,
activist. I get involved in political campaigns. I even go on and talk on some political shows and podcasts sometimes. And
mm,
all of these things, like, it's super important to me. But I just got to this point in the last few years where I'm like, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, voting doesn't change anything. Like, it makes things worse, but they never get better. Things never get better. And everybody, at least in this country, it feels like everybody's just so burnt out and tired that nobody gives a shit that everything is getting worse. And I looked at, like, this, I watched this clip the other day of this new bridge made in China. And it's this
4 years.
beautiful, did you see it? Yeah, in 4 years. And we're looking at, I don't even remember how many years they were saying to rebuild the Baltimore Bridge that collapsed last year, or how long it takes us to fucking do construction on the little tiny bridge of the highway outside my house going over
Mm,
the side street. And it's like, that thing's been under construction for years. It doesn't look like it's gotten any better. And I'm just like,
mm,
what is going on? And there's more and more homeless people. And now here in Chicago, we have all sorts of homeless increases. Violence is by the numbers down, whatever. But now we've got now we've got it's like now we got ICE running around here, literally like capturing people just for mouthing off. I mean, it's like, what is happening here, and what is it going to take for people to wake the fuck up? Pardon my language. Wake up and do something about it. I don't know what it's going to take. So I become a nihilist, and now I just laugh at all of it. And it's like, it's just so frustrating because I don't know what it's going to take. What's the breaking point?
I don't know.
I'm not actually asking you, but I want you to answer.
No, but I want to answer because I think it's important. It's a super important question. Like, what is, and like, as a counselor, as a psychologist, right? Like, how many people do I have to see, and that before I'm allowed to say that this is a problem? Like, it's acceptable for me to say that this is a problem. Like, hey, our mental health as a society, our individualized mental health is like heavily affected by this. Like, why are we not looking at this, studying it, addressing it, and then based on those results, changing it, right? Like you said, our voting doesn't matter. It's like, I forget this. I know a bunch of stats from the States because I like to follow you guys' politics a lot, but it was something like 80% of policy changes are against what the popular vote is.
Oh yeah, because they're all bought and paid for.
So it's like, okay, well, oh man, I don't even know. It's just mind blowing, and like it won't change until it gets so bad that a mass amount of people just can't eat and are dying and are like enough people, right?
But then I feel that way too. But then I think to myself, I'm like, they don't actually care. They don't care.
They will when because the system, capitalism, cannibalizes itself, right? Like it extracts value from the bottom to provide to the top in every way possible. And so eventually quality of life and just living gets so bad for the bottom that they won't be able to buy stuff, right? And it's like, okay, well, I can only go into so much debt, and I can only so yeah, there you go.
I'm laughing because this is something I don't actually understand. The way I think about, and I feel the same way, I say the same things about capitalism. It's eating itself. We're at the end. This is the grand finale. America, the farewell tour. It's all happening right now. And you can see it. To me, you can and I actually said this, there's a line in Love is Blind that two things that people remember me for. One was that I make my own toothpaste. And the other one was I had a line where I was like, oh, I was just talking to her about capitalism. And people were like, well, what were you talking about? And so that's what the thing is, like, it's eating itself. It's unsustainable. But the problem that I don't understand is you've got these super rich people, right? Your Bezoses, your Koch brothers, all these people. One of them died, I think. But you've got those super rich, and they're extracting that wealth. But what happens when there's no more money to buy their shit? Then, like, so where, like, is that when they stop? Like, what is that point for them? Because if you make the middle class disappear, which is what's happening in my point of view, if you make the middle class disappear and people don't have money to spend on food, I mean, McDonald's is the perfect example. So McDonald's, maybe a month or two ago, came out and said people aren't eating breakfast anymore, and they're not eating breakfast anymore because they can't afford it. And their solution was to bring back value menu items, right? And it's like, okay, so like maybe that's what would happen, is like a model like that where like people aren't able to have Amazon Prime anymore, so we'll make Amazon Prime more affordable. I don't know, like people can't buy McDonald's anymore, so we're going to go back to the old model of having value menu items and see if that helps. Like
they're going to have to find a balance, right? And or people eventually, I mean, here's what you do: you get rid of you defund education, you get rid of the Department of Education, and then you make sure that your people, your constituents, and your consumers, all they know is work and buy, right? I need this. This is what I need to have my lifestyle.
I think we're there in America,
right? You're getting there, right? Like you're at the apex, I think, right?
Yeah.
So that it's cultural shift, right? You look at, I mean, over the past 2 years, without mentioning anything specific, I don't know what you want on here, but
anything you want. We're already shadow banned. We're uncensored. You can say whatever you want.
Perfect, let's go. Yeah, I mean, well, we talk about conflict in Gaza, and it's like, okay, well, what was the number? It was like $31 billion the U.S. sent to Israel over the past
I
2
think it's
years.
higher than that, but yeah, it's an
And it's
insane number.
like OpenAI, Facebook, and somebody else, Oracle, just invested $1 trillion into AI data centers, and it's like,
Oh yeah. What?
why? Like that could fix so many problems, and so I don't know. You just see, and you see like, hey, well, the popular vote is is not changing anything. Our tax dollars are going away to some foreign country to murder people.
Who, by the way, that foreign country also has universal health care. Everybody
Yeah,
gets an education. Yeah. All
yeah.
the stuff we don't have here.
So it's like you are eventually going to get so abused that it's like, okay, well, what do we do? Well, bring out the pitchforks. I'm glad we got our First Amendment, because you guys are, if there's anybody that can fight against the government, it's Texas and Arkansas and shit like that. But they gotta want to. So
Yeah.
that's what it's
I
got.
think though, I think the thing with, so in my view, there's two things there that I want to comment on. One is the government. I always tell people who are like kind of gun people, which like at this point I'm like, it doesn't matter. Take the guns, take all the guns. It's just like whatever. I don't care, because the bottom line is like the government will drone strike you before you even make it to your gun cabinet if they deem you a threat.
Yeah.
Like you will be drone striked right in the middle of your frickin' bungalow in Texas. Like they will, if they think you're a threat, you're being surveilled every which way possible. They're listening to everything that you talk about through every device that is connected to the internet in your home, in your pocket, on your wrist, whatever. Like they're already doing that. And so if there's any kind, and I think we kind of already see some of it too, if there's any kind of organization going on that they don't want, they kibosh it or they infiltrate it. And I think the infiltration is kind of, one of the things they do as well. And so then you look at, to me, a protest, which would have to be like a general strike protest, but not the protests that we have now. I like to call them parades, because there are a bunch of people that get in the street, that they got a permit to get in that street, and the street's closed down by the government for them to go do a No Kings March, right? We've got one in Chicago in 2 weeks or a week and a half now. And it's like that. I call it a parade. You guys are not protesting for anything.
You saw in Nepal, right? Did you see what happened there? Gen Z.
Yes.
Well, yeah. Like that needs to happen. It's for meaningful change to happen. That is going to have to happen. And yeah, I don't know. I think the system, I mean, it's here too. Like Mark Carney, our prime minister, rose with the elbows up saying fight America. And then he's just fallen right into the same
system,
the same shit.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
That's what happened to our mayor here in Chicago. Like I volunteered at his campaign. I went to one of his rallies. I endorsed him, which I don't really do that. And he's so in the system now. He's got like a 6% approval rating. It's like, dude, what? I just want to go shake him. Be like, dude, you gotta, the Chicago politics ate this guy alive, and now he's nothing. And he came in with one of the reasons that I got so invested in him was because he came in with this treatment, not trauma program. And his other person, the person he was going against, was we need more police. So it was just very, very good contrast. And so we had like 12 mental health facilities in Chicago that had been shut down over the last couple of decades. He was campaigning to reopen them all, to have social workers and mental health professionals coming to domestic violence calls instead of sending, guns and police and all this stuff. And like there's like crime has gone down. A couple of those facilities have been opened up, and like it all gets overshadowed because he's just sucked into the machine, and he's just like a part of it now. And it's like, this guy came from being an activist. He really was grassroots found and elected. Yeah. I think he was on, the only politics he had done, if I remember correctly, was like he was on a school board. Yeah. And he just sucked him up. And I look at like AOC too. I think I was super excited about her. Yeah. She is Nancy Pelosi light. And so it's like, yeah. So anyway, so it's hard because I feel like the system eats people.
I'm interested to see what happens to Mamdani, because Yeah,
Me too.
he's the farthest, most successful, farthest left politician you guys have had in a long time.
Ever.
And it is going to be he's
And
going to win, and it's going to be I'll call it right now. He'll win, but what happens to him afterwards?
I am so interested to see if they don't find a way that he doesn't win. And the reason I'm saying that is because I worked on Bernie Sanders' campaign in 2016 and 2020, and 2020 was a sure thing. He won the first 3 primary. We were rolling. And then what did they do? They all dropped out, endorsed Biden, who's never mind. I'm not going to get into him. We already
got time for that.
Yeah,
we don't got time for that.
No. And then the media went all in on it and was like, "This is the party consolidating. This is the party coming together." And it was like, "No, this is the party manipulating you." When no one has ever won the first 3 primaries and not gone on to win the primary. Like they just did it right in front of everyone's face, and unfortunately, he took it. He shouldn't have taken it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's like, even it's like they have so many ways that they can manipulate it. But I do.
So let me rephrase that then. If he stays in, he'll win. Like,
yes, yeah. But I mean, and their attack tactics at him are so dated. Like nobody believes any of it.
Yeah,
like it's So it's interesting. All right. I want to be respectful of your time. We went a little off track. I have one more thing. If you've got like 5 more minutes that I want to ask you about, and then I'll give you a chance to quickly ask me anything. But I wanted to ask you, you had this line about relying on community over systems, which I really, really, really like. Cause I think maybe you picked this up. Like I've kind of stopped relying on systems. I don't want to rely on elections. I don't want to rely on even policy in a lot of cases. I want to rely on each other to do the right thing and come together as a community. So what's your view or thought process behind relying on a community over the systems that are in place?
The systems that we have are owned by somebody. Somebody makes money off of that. That is not the person that you want the money to go to. So, for example, there's a teacher strike going on in Alberta, the postal strike Canada-wide. So me being part of the community, I pay rent at the building. They're making money off of me, but I got mouths to feed at home, but I don't need to make a ton of profit off of that, right? So I'm offering my services, counseling services, to those groups of people that are not making money right now because of the strikes. I'm offering my services at a lower cost to them. So I am taking the hit. I am paying for it, right? And they're paying less, but it is a direct trade within the community, removing the system that's in as much as the system that's in place, right? So, and that's what I mean. So you're talking about local libraries, right? You're like homegrown libraries, like put up a bookshelf on the street and put books in there and get everybody to put some in and swap them out and trade them, right? And like libraries are not the best example because that's obviously a public service, but
well, we have things like that in my neighborhood, like book drops, where it's like little things, you can open them up, you can take one, leave one. It's really nice.
And it's so that's what it is. It's creating a network of people that work together to provide services to each other without somebody whose only involvement in the process is investing money. And if I built this, I put this money into it, so I get to extract all the value or a majority of the value that comes from it. And them as the investor is doing as much as possible to keep people just happy enough to stay in the system. That's where all that wealth and all of that value gets stripped out and ripped from us. And so we need to remove that part of it and create our own authentic, genuine systems, which we all benefit as much as possible from, as opposed to somebody else taking all that benefit
and not doing anything to get it. That's beautiful. That's actually really good. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. All right. Before we, I love ending on a high note after I was just like, the world's going to shit. Before we head out, is there anything you want to ask me?
Man, I had all these questions, and that was such a conversation. They're all gone now. There. Um, what do you think is like the hardest part about the 15 minutes that you had, like, and switching it up and staying genuine to who you are?
Oh, that's a good one. Um, I think the I think that's kind of like the hardest part has changed over time. Initially, it was very much like trying to exist when you can't leave your house without somebody seeing you, talking to you, something. I think initially, because it's like a light switch. So initially, it's like, how do I adjust to being someone who could just walk into the grocery store, do my grocery shopping, listen to a podcast, and not be bothered, to
Mm-hmm.
people stopping me? And it doesn't bother me. Like I genuinely do not get bothered by people that stop me at any point. But it's an adjustment. And I think as time's gone on, it's changed a little bit from that. And there's like moments, and I had learned kind of a lot about some other people on shows about how kind of like it fades, and then you're a little like, wait, people don't care anymore. And with reality TV being a dime a dozen, and there's like Love Is Blind, there's 2 seasons, they're in season 9 right now. That was something that I kind of prepared for.
Mm-hmm.
And I never really liked that kind of attention. So that was another piece that was difficult. Like, I want to talk about my ideas. We've been doing this whole time, but really like the last 15 minutes or so, like I want someone to be like, oh, Nick, not be like, oh, Nick, that guy that married that girl on Love Is Blind. I'm going to be like, Nick, that guy that really, really thinks that reality TV cast members should have labor laws protecting them and make a fair wage for their content. The idea, not the person. And so I
Yeah.
think the hardest thing, like overall, that it's really come to is the fact that like people know me for this relationship that was on TV, but they don't know me.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always wanted to be someone who was known for something that mattered,
Right.
and something that was like an idea or a change that I was bringing to the world. And I think that when I would talk about politics or something in the news, and I'd get stay in your own lane, reality star, we're not
Mm-hmm.
here for this. It's like, well, then you're not here for me. And that was an interesting, because even my friends, some of them hate when I talk about politics, but they kind of expect it from me at this point. And they're just kind of like, all right, Nick's on his rant again. But like, so even that, but it's like normal that not everyone cares about the same things. But for me, it was really hard to have people tell me not to be myself because it wasn't who they wanted me to be. And that was the hardest thing overall, I would say, to kind of like understand and have the confidence to just keep being myself. And I've lost like 65,000 followers since the show came out, which is, put it in perspective, a football stadium worth of people. And
Yeah.
so, I think about that, and it's like,
That'll get to your head for sure.
well, it did at first, and for the first 5,000, it really did. And then I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't fucking care if these people like don't care what I have to say and what I want to post. And I don't post all the time. I don't even consider myself like a content creator or an influencer or anything. I'm Nick, and sometimes I let you in on the things that I'm doing in my life.
Yeah.
And if you want to be here, I want you here. And if you don't, that's okay too. I wish you the best. And
Yeah.
I even a couple of weeks ago, I posted something about the Charlie Kirk assassination, and I lost 3,000 people, and I got 50, 60 nasty messages. All I posted was RIP. I don't even like Charlie Kirk. I think he's a fucking idiot. Like, but like, I don't think he should be killed. And so I said, rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. My heart's out to you and your family. No violence, talk less, listen more. That's all I posted. Because for the first time ever, a political influencer commentator was assassinated, and a whole world got to see it. And I don't want to live in that world. You know what I mean? And even that, so many people get upset, and it's like blood. It like showed, anyway, it just reaffirmed to me. I'm like, I don't care about the followers. I don't care if I go back down to the 348 I had before all of this. I'm just going to keep being me. And that was a hard thing to get to kind of like,
Yeah, it's a hard construct.
be comfortable with being me and not being what other people want me to be.
Amazing.
So
Well,
yeah,
I'm
long
glad
answer.
you got there.
Yeah, I
Cool.
don't care at all. Yeah. So, all right. Well, I want to thank you again for coming. Tell people where they can get in touch with you and find you on social media and the internets.
Okay. My name is Tyrone Powell on Instagram, most socials, Instagram, TikTok, Threads. I'm mainly only active on Instagram. I go by Tyrone the philosopher. My website is hellotyrone.ca. All my links, my podcast is there. My podcast is called It's Okay, Man. Again, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to chat with anybody. I love talking, and I can talk about anything because it all is connected, like we said. So thank you.
And all of those links to connect with Tyrone are down in the show notes, so you can just go there and click. Thank you again for coming on, and I really enjoyed this conversation. It went a little bit differently than I thought, but
let's do it again. We'll get to the other points.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again. And I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Eyes Wide Open. If you enjoy the show, the best way to support us is by sharing or dropping a review. For more information and content, check out engagewithnick.com or find me on Instagram at nthompson513. Don't go through life blind. Do the work so you can show up in the world with your eyes wide open.